School marshal program allowing some teachers to carry guns in schools. We'll discuss this and more of today's top stories. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman. We'll also talk with Ken W. Good, a noted bail attorney and board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas, who will break down a ruling on Attorney General Ken Paxton's challenge to Harris County's 2019 bail reform settlement.
And I'm Frank Billingsley. Plus, we'll also chat with five-time New York Times bestselling author Shea Serrano, who will tell us all about his latest book, Expensive Basketball.
Also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump breathed fresh life into efforts to end the war in Ukraine this week with news of a 28-point peace plan. But NPR's Franco Ordonez reports international observers are urging caution about the proposal's practicality.
Only a few details have come out, but one seen as a non-starter for Kyiv involves Ukraine ceding territory to Russia, a proposal Trump has pushed before. Sam Cherep, who's at RAND, a think tank that studies security, says the details don't matter as much to Trump. He just wants to stop the fighting.
For both Presidents Putin and Zelensky, the details really matter. That's why you have to have them or their representatives in the room working these issues in detail if you want to get something that will stick.
That's why Russia wants more strategic territory, and Ukraine is so adamant about needing security guarantees from Washington and its Western partners so that this type of invasion doesn't happen again. Franco Ordonez, NPR News, the White House.
The Coast Guard is taking a more firm public stance against the display of nooses and swastikas following outcry over a new policy that appeared to downgrade the severity of the hate symbols. Steve Walsh with member station WHRO in Norfolk has details.
As first reported by the Washington Post, the Coast Guard released a new harassment manual which labeled things such as displaying the Confederate flag as merely divisive. The manual also eliminates a standalone process for investigating instances of hate. The Coast Guard pushed back at the idea that the policy had been weakened, but late Thursday issued a new policy saying that nooses and swastikas and other symbols of hate must be removed from all Coast Guard facilities. The Department of Defense has been going through a similar process of reviewing hazing, bullying, and harassment definitions across the military, but has not released a policy. For NPR News, I'm Steve Walsh.
U.S. stocks open higher this morning on indications of an interest rate cut after the Fed meets next month and new numbers on retail sales. Here's NPR's Scott Horsley.
Retail sales figures are one of many data points delayed by the 6-week government shutdown. Many individual retailers have been delivering financial reports this week. The results have been mixed, but a consistent theme is that shoppers are being cautious and hunting for bargains. Stock in Ross stores and The Gap opened higher after both reported better than expected quarterly sales. With a double-digit tariff on goods from Japan, the U.S. imported less from that country in October, but Japanese firms made up for it with higher sales to the rest of the world. Japan's overall exports were up 3.7% from a year ago. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 430 points, or nearly 1%. It's NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. 2 chapters of the Council on American Islamic Relations are suing Governor Greg Abbott and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The lawsuit comes 2 days after Abbott designated CAIR as a foreign terrorist and transnational criminal organization, which prevents the group from purchasing land in Texas. CAIR's Dallas and Austin chapters argue in the lawsuit that the governor violated their First Amendment rights. Here's Charles Swift, the lead attorney in the lawsuit, speaking at a press conference Thursday.
Basically, what the governor did was unconstitutional for a multitude of reasons.
The government has 21 days to respond to the lawsuit. Meanwhile, the Houston chapter of CAIR will be holding a press conference at noon today. 2 more inmates have died inside of the Harris County Jail this week. That brings the total to 18 deaths reported at the jail so far this year. News 88.7's Sarah Gruno has more.
63-year-old Kerry Parks was pronounced dead just after 5 a.m. on Wednesday. He suffered a medical emergency that morning and was transported to St. Joseph Medical Center in Houston. Parks was convicted more than 10 years ago and was facing a life sentence in the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. They transported him to Houston for a court hearing and temporarily placed him in the jail in June, but never picked him back up. 66-year-old Tony Davis was in jail for 13 days for violating his parole from a decades-old drug charge. He was taken to a hospital Wednesday night and returned to the jail, where he collapsed and was pronounced dead by first responders. The Harris County Medical Examiner will perform autopsies on both men. I'm Sarah Gruno, News 88.7.
Houston police are investigating after a woman was hit and killed while getting off a city bus on Westheimer Road. Multiple outlets report that the driver stayed at the scene. A witness says they attempted to give CPR but had to jump out of the way because another car was approaching. The collision happened on Westheimer near Gessner, part of a stretch of Westheimer that the Washington Post recently investigated as being one of the deadliest roads in the country. It's 80 degrees right now on the University of Houston campus. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses from retailers to tradespeople. Progressive covers a variety of business needs with a range of coverages. More at progressivecommercial.com.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Friday.
Celeste was trying to sing the Friday song a little bit ago, and it wasn't quite coming out.
It was not
right.
quite coming out.
We didn't quite remember how it goes, but our heart's in the right place.
Hallelujah.
Oh,
Yes.
you could sing that song.
Yes, Friday. It's been a long week.
Big plans. This is usually a quiet weekend before Thanksgiving. A lot of people pull it in a little bit.
Yes.
And then they go shopping, they get the groceries, all of that stuff for family.
Today we have our HPM Thanksgiving potluck, and this morning I was finishing up my salad, and I was telling Ernie how I feel like I know when the holidays are officially here, because like this morning I kept thinking, why do I smell like shallots? Like what is this?
She's like, the holidays are here. I smell like onions. And I'm like, you're the only person I know who thinks that's the smell of the holidays. Evergreen, I get it. Cranberry, that kind of smell. Yeah. But smelling like onions, it must be the holidays.
Chopping on food, I know.
It makes perfect sense when you think about it, because that's what's going on. That sage smell, all of that.
Rosemary.
All those
my gosh, yes.
smells, because we're all going out to the stores and getting what we need to cook.
And
so
we did the what do you like best? I didn't get to desserts. What is your favorite dessert for Thanksgiving?
I'm more of like an apple pie.
Oh, fruit.
I like an apple pie.
A little bluebell.
Yes, with like a warm or like a crumble with a little bit of.
You did cobblers for your party.
I did do cobblers. Yeah. Fabulous.
I see that. I see where you are.
Yeah.
I sent this to Celeste right after her party. I got so in a cobbler mood. I had to go home and try and make my own cobbler, and I sent her pictures of it. So inspired by her. So now for our Thanksgiving, I'm making a cobbler also.
Delicious.
Still inspired by Celeste. So,
Aww,
but in a perfect world, what's my favorite dessert? Dessert.
Oh, yeah. There's no wrong answer.
No wrong answer.
Okay, Frank,
there.
what about you? What kind of dessert do you like?
I'm with you on the cobbler. That's ice cream. I love that. Peach cobbler, apple cobbler, almost any kind. Kevin makes this amazing coconut dream pie. And the crazy thing is he hates coconut, but he makes it for me.
Does he eat it, or he literally makes it for you?
He won't eat it. He literally makes it for me.
Oh my gosh.
Then I've got this whole pie.
Okay.
You have
I can't
my phone
wait
number,
to try
and,
everybody.
it's in my list of
Yes.
desserts I like. Dessert. Frank, you weren't with us yesterday.
Oh,
What
I
were
was
you
in
up to?
Galveston for the nurses' thank you luncheon at UTMB nurses luncheon, which I've done for 12, 13, 14 years. It's almost become a reunion. You know, you see people you haven't seen all year. And which is the fun thing about the holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or luncheons or Christmas parties or whatever, where you finally get to catch up with people. And it's just a wonderful luncheon. So we had a good time, and I just took the day off so we could drive down, do that, drive back.
Yeah.
And then last night we were at the Periwinkle. Celeste and I were at the Periwinkle.
Yes,
Gala.
what a beautiful event.
Iron sommelier, a lot of good wines, which I find out at events like that, I know nothing about wine.
I know.
Because I'm
Yes.
like, oh my gosh.
They start talking about the notes and the different things, and you see, I've said this before. I'm not a huge drinker. Like, I don't drink a ton. I'm also very petite, so if I have one or two glasses, I'm like, woo!
Oh yeah.
But what was so nice about last night was that the pours were so little, and then you would try it and you taste it, and people were talking. It just was a beautiful event.
Okay, my favorite wine tasting story. I think I may have even told this on the air before. Doris Childress, who sat in when both of you left me one Friday recently, she used to host a show with me, and we were on live television, and it was 5 nights a week, and we had a wine tasting come in. They hadn't given us a spill bucket, and I don't drink.
Oh, no.
So they would pour us 2 glasses of wine. We both taste the taste, say, okay, and then we cut back to the person. And Doris didn't, so she'd grab both our wines and drink them both down so our cups would be empty. And then it would come back, and they would pour a little more, and we would taste it, cut to the person. Doris would drink both glasses of wine. That's my favorite wine
I bet I know what happened.
It got messy by the end of that segment.
Interesting.
Live television.
Live television.
I know we did an investigative piece which was controlled at Channel 2 to see how much you had to drink before becoming legally drunk. So one of the reporters, probably everybody did this in television. And so but they didn't pick me to do it.
We're still pouring for Frank.
Keep going.
But it's a lot less than you think.
Oh, yes.
To become legal. I think it was the year that they dropped it from a 0.1 to a 0.08.
It's 08
from 1
now.
to
From 1, I guess 1 point to
0.1.
0.0. Yeah, anyway. When they dropped it, they made it easier to arrest people.
Yeah, I will say one last thing on all of that is that when I drink, the only thing that gets me drunk really fast is a Michelob Ultra. 1 can of Michelob Ultra puts me out.
Why?
Michelob
I have
Ultra?
no idea.
Like the lightest beer?
The lightest beer. I can drink wine. I drink scotch. I can drink, 1 can.
A Michelob Ultra.
And there you go.
I'm gone.
And you're done.
Something they think about, maybe the yeastiness of beer or something. I don't know. But that's what does it for me.
Yeast and hops and water. That's about it.
Last night I watched Wicked for Good. We'll talk later in the show about what I thought about it, but it opens. It's supposed to save the film industry.
I heard Wicked for Good was very, very bad.
I'm not saying anything yet. Anyway, Frank, weather out there? How's it doing for the weekend?
We have some rain chances tonight into tomorrow, and then this front's going to come through. It looks like pretty good Saturday, Sunday. But then a bigger front on Tuesday cools us down for Thanksgiving Day. The forecast for Thanksgiving Day is sunny and 62.
Oh, I'm in heaven. Thank you, Frank.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy. Okay. Well, anyway, that's going on in our immediate world, but in the world around us, Celeste keeps us informed.
That's right. Some humble ISD employees will soon be allowed to bring guns to school. Last week, trustees for the Houston Area School District voted 6-1 to join Texas School Marshal Program as a pilot initiative. The program, implemented by state lawmakers in 2013 after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Connecticut, is overseen by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement and allows employees with a license to carry a firearm access to a gun on campus. To participate, they must complete 80 hours of training and undergo a psychological exam. Nearly a dozen parents at the school board meeting voiced concerns about the program. Larissa Powell told the board that while she supports the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which gives Americans the right to bear arms, she said, quote, "We're not prepared operationally, ethically, financially, emotionally for this kind of program," unquote. The district is one of 8 school systems in Texas to adopt the program this year. Data from TCOLE shows the program has limited participation across the state. In the 12 years it's been running, 150 schools or districts have adopted the program, and 109 are currently active with the program. There are more than 1,200 school districts in the state. What are your thoughts on this program? Is it needed, or is it just simply dangerous? Now is the time. We would like to hear your voice. Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Now.
I'm falling right into simply dangerous, but...
Well, I'm surprised that they can get insurance. The liability, most insurance companies won't insure the school if you have this program in place. Maybe some will, but it's going to be very expensive. But just because, the gun gets in the wrong hands, or it's in the right hands, but if the wrong bullet goes to the wrong place, then you've got a kid who's been accidentally, friendly fire. It's just a whole lot of problems. But saying that, if you're well trained, you're the mother in the group with kids at school, Celeste.
Dangerous.
You wouldn't feel safer for your child if a well-trained adult with training and hopefully continued training, not just the one training to get the gun license, but that had to train and is able to shoot a gun properly. You wouldn't feel more safe if that.
Not necessarily, no. And I'll tell you why, Frank, because there's just such zero margin for error in this. And I also think that educators are moving so quickly, and there's just a lot that happens in classrooms, all from pre-K all the way up to high school. And I feel safe with the system the way it is. I really think that our school systems, at least I feel like my daughter's school, HISD Elementary School, is safe. We have a on-campus security guard that I believe has some type of, I don't know if it's like a...
like rubber bullets, maybe?
No. What is that?
Taser?
A taser.
Oh.
There are things that are already in place that I think are enough. I don't know if I necessarily need our teachers in a classroom to have that.
Do your kids' schools have metal detectors?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they have
all schools
metal detectors.
Should have metal detectors, I think.
I do know that all of the doors lock automatic. We have multiple doors, to get inside the classroom or the school. There's a first door that you have to be buzzed in. There's a second door that you have to be buzzed in. And then there's a third door that you have to be buzzed in. So there are multiple stop gates to get into the school. And I just think that it's not necessary. It puts even the teacher at risk with a gun.
Also,
I get that.
A gun in a classroom. Beyond anything else, yes, you can have it locked up. People are supposed to keep their guns locked up at homes, and we hear all these stories of a gun not locked or getting out or things like that. I think it does open us up for concern. The flip side of it is, though, if you put yourself in the head of a parent like you, and there is someone in the classroom who does have a gun at this point now, not talking about the teacher, and they are pulling that gun and aiming it at someone in the classroom. Does it give you a sense of security to think there is recourse in the room for that instant? I think that's kind of where the argument.
I think where that margin of error gets really frightening.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the teacher supposed to do? Pull the gun out of a drawer and try to shoot the bad guy, or threaten
and what
them,
happens,
or say, put the gun down?
Bullets don't just go so far and stop.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then I also
this isn't the movies. This is real life.
Exactly. And then the other part of that is if there was something really terribly happening within a classroom, law enforcement comes in, and who are they supposed? Right? You have two people now holding guns.
That's a good point. Yeah, who are they supposed to take down when everybody's got a gun? Right.
Right. I just don't think it's necessary.
And to just throw into the whole conversation, as much as we talk about school shootings and as horrific as they are a very small happening in this country. They happen a lot for our country, and they shouldn't happen at all. But it's really a low rate risk of a shooting in a classroom. And when you enter this many more guns into the environment, do you increase the chance that this goes up? Do you then pit student who has got an issue and thinks that they're going to come in and shoot against a teacher, as though now there's going to be a shoot-off, and the psychology of knowing these guns are out there.
Right, and it also puts, I think, administrators, principals, assistant principals, if you know that it gets very muddled. And it just
interesting. Kevin went to Humble.
And
so consequently, we know a lot of people that did. A lot of his peers that he graduated with. So interesting they let this go through.
Yes.
713-440-8870. We're curious what you think about this issue. Where do you stand on it? Do you think it improves safety in our schools? Do you think it's a deterrent? Do you think it's just, as we've said, adding more danger into this situation? Give us a call.
British computer guy said Did I cut your?
Yeah, you cut off the phone number, 713-440-8870. No.
My apologies. So British computer guy said on YouTube, so long as proper training is provided and they are tested, I think it's a good thing. So.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to another story. Somebody's expecting company. Donald Trump. He's going to meet with Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York City, in the Oval Office today. What do you folks think? Here's a guy he has called the communist mayor and criticized his platforms, but now he's agreed to the mayor's request to meet. The White House officials say the discussion will cover public safety, economic security, and affordability, which happen to be key priorities of Mamdani. So what do you think?
I think Donald Trump has a lot of assets in New York City, and it's on his smart
Tower.
side. Several of them, Trump
Right.
International, Trump Hotels, and it's probably in his best interest to be at least civil to the mayor of New York, no matter who it is, no matter what he said about them or what they've said about each other. Mamdani's the one that reached out, though, and said that he would like to meet. Trump took the meeting, so. Yeah,
it's a chance to advocate for the millions of New Yorkers facing higher living costs, a big issue of Mamdani's. Fascinating to me. I would love, oftentimes when I hear of what's going on in the Oval Office, I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
I joke. I'd love to live long enough to read all the definitive books about this period of time in which we're living. I also, though, from hearing other people who meet with the president one-on-one or at a dinner or even in a smaller grouping, that he is very cordial, that he hears, he understands what you're saying. He may even give a cursory agreement to what's being said. He's open to hearing, you're doing this not the right way, and he will nod. The weird thing is, as soon as people walk back out, then the next person that walks in, it could be a whole other story, or what he comes and posts, or his reaction to things don't always match that engagement.
Short attention span.
Yeah, it might be. Or it might be playing politics with whoever's in front of him.
Yeah.
Yes. And we did get a couple of YouTube comments regarding our prior headline about Humble ISD, which will start allowing teachers to carry guns after undergoing certain psychological evaluation as well as training. And Alex Garza says, instead of gun training, how about more love your neighbor training?
Okay.
I like it.
Kumbaya.
Sean Radigan said, I had some public school teachers I wouldn't trust with a hot glue gun.
Got that. Over on our YouTube channel, there is a poll you can take. Do you think armed school employees make campuses safer?
We do have a call, by the way.
You can vote. So just go over there and give a vote, and we'll give you the tally in a little bit. See, we got polls going right now on our questions, too, if you don't always want to call in. But as Frank mentioned, somebody did. 713-440-8870. Alexander from Sugar Land, what's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, friends.
Good morning.
First and foremost, I went to a school in Pasadena ISD, and our school wasn't known to be one of the greatest schools. We barely made our marks every year. So we did have a metal detector in our school, and although people thought it was like, oh, it's ghetto, your school isn't safe, it actually made me feel so much safer because I knew that somebody didn't bring a gun in because they had metal detectors. So the idea of a teacher having a gun in a school, as a parent, I think is a terrible idea. A teacher's job is hard enough as it is. So to have them have gun training, psychological testing, there's a lot of things that go into having somebody have a gun in a classroom full of young children. I think it's a really bad idea. I do think it would be a good idea to give them some non-lethal protection, maybe a taser, maybe pepper spray, just to give them a little bit more peace of mind in a particular situation. But to Celeste's point, I mean, most schools now have multiple gates of having to be buzzed in. I think adding metal detectors, there's better ways to invest our money to protect our children than to arm our teachers. I think that is a really bad idea.
Good point.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Alexander.
Thank you.
Not to mention the insurance issue.
Right. And Frank goes back to that. And that's, I think, an important point to look at there. Not that money should be what we look at first and foremost, but it shows the concern out there that it's so hard to insure that.
I can't believe they would.
Yeah. Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with Ken W. Good, a noted bail attorney and a board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas, on bail reform. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Lenny Ambrose from St. Arnold Brewing Company, proud supporters of Houston Public Media. Right now, with your $60 donation, you can choose tickets to News and Brews. This member-exclusive event takes place February 17th. Enjoy a pint, connect with fellow NPR fans, and meet the Houston Public Media Newsroom in person. Select News and Brews tickets when you donate at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Coming up tonight at 6:30.
Your support for Houston Public Media powers the programs you trust and rely on. And your employer may help your contribution go even further. Many employers sponsor matching gift programs, doubling or even tripling employee contributions. It's an easy way to maximize your impact on the programs you rely on. Search for your company and get started today at houstonpublicmedia.org/match.
If you know her, you know that she would have wanted you to turn the other cheek, to find forgiveness, to extend understanding. You know this, but what if you just can't? On the next Snap Judgment, Jen Angel. Snap Judgment, do not miss it.
You can listen to it tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Tonight on Houston Public Media TVA. Join host Michael Keaton for Mr. Rogers, It's You I Like, at 6:30. Then Masterpiece presents Michael Caine and Glenda Jackson in the new film, The Great Escape. Tonight on TVA.
Support comes from Houston Symphony. This weekend, November 21st through 23rd, experience a musical journey from darkness to light as music director Uri Valtua leads the symphony in Shostakovich's Symphony No. 10. Tickets at houstonsymphony.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
A major legal development in Texas could reshape how misdemeanor defendants are released before trial. Earlier this week, the Fifth Circuit ruled in favor of Attorney General Ken Paxton in a challenge to Harris County's 2019 bail reform settlement, opening the door for the state to revisit and possibly roll back policies that allowed most low-level offenders to be released without cash bail. Supporters say the reforms reduced jail overcrowding and saved taxpayers' dollars, while critics argue they made it easier for repeat offenders to cycle in and out of the system. To help break down what this ruling means for public safety and for communities across Texas, we're joined by Ken Good, a bail attorney and board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. Welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you very much for having me.
And if you would like to join the conversation, if you have a question for Ken, you can give us a call or text 713-440-8870.
So, Ken, where are we on this and where could we be?
Mm-hmm. Where are we? So the trial court has granted the Attorney General's motion to intervene to allow him to argue that the consent decree, which was entered several years ago, should be dismissed. The reason why he's arguing that is the Fifth Circuit, after the O'Donnell opinion was finished, it's subsequently been reversed, and it's been reversed multiple times, and the Fifth Circuit ultimately ruled it should have never been filed in federal court. And so Harris County's been following a consent decree settlement that had on a case that's been reversed. The rest of the state is following a different set of rules. And so I think what the Attorney General is saying, we've had SB 6 and SB 9 entered since the consent decree, and they're not following state law, and they have to follow state law. They can't enter into a settlement and change the law in Harris County versus the rest of the state.
Statewide, then, if you looked at it from that point of view, is it necessarily a bad idea? Isn't part of the problem we have overcrowding in our jails, and that oftentimes there are people in a situation who just can't come up with bail for something that is very minor? And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there already a provision in it for repeat offenders are not eligible for this program?
No, the Harris County model has all misdemeanors, but I think a list of 7 offenses. And if you're charged with one of those 7, then you don't get what they call a general ordered bond or a standing personal bond for $100, which is just your promise to pay. What the police officers union found in reviewing a 1 week's docket, that these cases had a 75% failure to appear rate. There's other sources that say it's over 80%. And so I think those create backlogs. They don't address backlogs. Backlogs create pressure to dismiss cases. When you dismiss cases, defendants see that as a green light to commit more crime. And you look at what else is going on in Harris County, where they had a press conference saying crime was down, and then 6 months later we discover that they had dismissed over 260,000 cases with the notation insufficient staff. Then you realize, okay, we're cooking the books too much, and we need to get back to just doing what we know works.
Wow. So, yeah, that's interesting. I did not know that. The crime is down because we're not prosecuting anyone.
I think that's probably true to a large extent. But, in Harris County, we've had a problem for a while, especially with misdemeanors, where people fail to show up for court for 17 times and they just get rearrested and then released on the same bond under the consent decree. And even on top of that, the consent decree requires they have to miss court 3 times before you can do anything to them. So you'd have to add the 3 on top of the 17. And what we've done is we've tied the hands of the judges so they can't do anything about it. And we've got to undo that and start complying with Texas law.
Help me out here a little bit, because this much more is your area of expertise than any of ours. But on the surface, it seems as though that it's a slanted system for people who have means, who have money, as opposed to those who don't. And if you don't and you can't get this money together, you are treated differently under the law than if somebody who has money and can get this together and can get out on bail. What do we misunderstand in that kind of argument, or is that an accurate argument?
Well, I think that's on surface the talking points of the people who are pushing for change. I think that it's a much more nuanced, it's a much more complex issue than that, because there's a study that explains what's the number one thing that impacts someone's length in jail pre-trial. You would say, listening to the activists, that it's amount of money or their ability to pay, but really the studies show that the length of time in jail pre-trial is your criminal history. And so the criminal justice system is intended to treat everybody individually. We want to give what amount of pressure is needed for you to change and become productive, and what I would need to be changed to become productive. And, if you're stubborn, you're going to need more pressure than me, because anybody can beat me up, so it's just not going to take much pressure for me. And what we're doing in this debate is we're saying we want to make it a cookie cutter system. And that's not working. I mean, the people that are taking advantage of that are gangs, career criminals, and organized crimes. Even on our misdemeanors, they're learning where we're no longer prosecuting, and they're taking advantage, and they're making millions and millions of dollars out of our generosity. And so once someone is arrested and they have a criminal history, then they're not in jail because they can't afford the bond. They're in jail because the bond has been set at amount because of their criminal history. And I think that gets lost in the debate. And we want to make it where we treat everybody the same. But the problem is the criminal justice system is intended to never treat two people the same, because we're going to do individually what's best for each person.
It sounds like this whole argument that, poor people can't afford the bail, and so it's discriminatory based on means. It's a fairly thin argument, if it's even an argument at all, Ken.
I would agree with what you're saying. It's a thin argument, but it hits all the talking points, and so I think it's worked for a while. But I think I saw an article today saying, have we uncovered that, bail reform is really not anything other than a political policy. It's not really good for public safety, and can we just let it die? And I think that's the truth. The O'Donnell case, which has started this, the consent decree that we're talking about, at one point in time, the O'Donnell case was cited across the country as the case on bail reform, and ultimately the Fifth Circuit ruled it should have never been filed. I mean, Judge Rosenthal has been reversed 7, 8, or 9 times in that case. And so I think what you're saying, it's true. That's all been a talking point, and it's none of the arguments that have been made are reality. And now Harris County has been hiding behind a consent decree for years when they're no longer following Texas law, and they don't want to, because they're doing a policy change through through a consent decree.
We are speaking with Ken Good, a bail attorney and board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. You're listening to Hello Houston on News 88.7. If you would like to join the conversation, you can give us a call or text 713-440-8870. I do want to go back to the O'Donnell versus Harris County case that you talked about, the lawsuit that essentially spurred all of this back in 2016. And it was essentially, the case was arguing that Harris County's misdemeanors cash bail system was unconstitutional because it jailed poor people who couldn't afford bail. So my question then becomes, is clearly there was an issue during that time. And how do you make sure that people, yes, are, of course, public safety is top of mind, but there also has to be a level of, civility and making sure that people aren't just being left in jail.
Okay. I understand what your argument is, but that's not the argument that was made in the case. The argument made in the case is they found a procedural violation of the due process clause. And the procedural violation is when you went before a magistrate, they would tell you, do not say anything. You went to the magistrate for your initial appearance, and they would say, well, I can't afford this bail. And they said, no, don't say anything. Anything you say will be taken against you. And so they found a procedural violation of due process. And this whole argument that went on for several years, the judges were ready to give them a procedural remedy, but the plaintiffs wanted a substantive remedy, and the court eventually gave them a substantive remedy, forced release, when really all they needed was a hearing. And that's ultimately what the Fifth Circuit said. You found a procedural violation, so you need to give them a procedural remedy, which would be an opportunity at a hearing to say, I can't afford this bond. Please give me a lower bond. That's what the courts have ruled. But in the meantime, Harris County entered into a consent decree to require release and not provide the procedural fix. And so now we're not following Texas law, we're following Harris County law. And that's really the problem. That's the reason why the Attorney General has stepped in and saying we need to follow the same rules in Houston that we follow the rest of the state. Texas legislature sets policy on bail through statutes, not the Harris County through a consent decree settlement with the plaintiffs.
So Ken, explain this to me. So before the reforms, judges in Harris County at that time, they followed a secured money bail schedule. Talk to me a little bit.
They had a scheduling order. Yes.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about how that often required cash bail for misdemeanors. Was that an issue within the policy?
Okay, so the problem was they had a scheduling order. So once you arrested, whatever your charge was, you had bail set off of that scheduling order. And so if you had multiple charges or you had a criminal history, it was higher. Mm-hmm. And so when you went for your original arraignment, there was no opportunity for you to say, hey, this bail schedule amount I can't afford. That didn't come up then. And that's the procedural violation, the due process violation that the plaintiffs identified, and that's what they sued over. The judges were willing to fix that probably initially and immediately, but that's not what the plaintiffs wanted. They wanted they wanted to require everyone to be released on a personal bond for $100, even though they found a procedural defect. So they got rid of the scheduling order. But they didn't require everybody to be they didn't require everybody to go before a magistrate and then have bail set. They just replaced the scheduling order of crimes to a $100 personal bond for all misdemeanors unless you're on the list of 7. And so no matter what your criminal history is, no matter how many times you're arrested, as long as it's not on the 7 excluded charges, you're going to get a $100 personal bond, which is not, you're not paying $100. You're not paying anything. You're making a promise that you'll come up. That's not complying with Texas law under SB 6. They have to review the criminal history before setting bail. They're not doing that. They're not complying with SB 9 in a number of respects, and they're in some situations they're releasing the defendant on what we call a GOB bond, which there's no such thing in Texas as a GOB bond except Harris County. Which is authorizing the release without seeing a judge or magistrate and without doing the public safety report. So all those things are in violation of Texas law, and they're still doing it in Harris County and Houston because they have this settlement consent decree in this case, which ultimately has been reversed by the Fifth Circuit, and they said it should have never been filed in federal court.
If you were rebuilding this system from the ground up, not with any of the rules or laws that are in place in the state of Texas today, would what you rebuild look like what the laws currently are, or are there areas you see this should be shifted?
Well, I've written an article on what does successful bail reform look like, and I to a certain extent, what's missing in Harris County is accountability. I mean, we've had several jurisdictions have to live under these preliminary injunctions until they went through appeal. And the problem is it ties the hands of judges and they can't hold anybody accountable. That's what's going on in Harris County. They keep being released on the same thing, and we keep expecting a different result, but they keep missing court. And so I think that what's missing is a strong level of accountability. So I would also point to, there's some studies from California from COVID that point to, if you release people on a nonviolent offense, one on a personal release, which would be a personal bond, and one on a private surety bond, the person that's released on personal release or simple release has a 200% greater chance of committing a new violent offense in the next 18 months. So with that kind of data coming out, I don't know, you would want to make a personal bond the exception, not the rule, like we have in Houston, Texas.
Well, we do have a call. Mike is on the line from Katy. Mike, what is your question or comment for Ken Good?
Hi, Ken. I've been listening, and I'm a little concerned. My concern is that people with money have an advantage in the legal system compared to people who don't. So what steps are you taking to make sure they don't have an advantage?
Mike, thank you for
that.
that.
So to get an advantage, you've got to say you've got something comparable to the private surety bail system to take its place. I would point out there was a former judge who was a mayor that was on a News Nation a town hall meeting. She said, until you have something that has the same low failure to appear rate as the private industry bail system and something that has the same high level of accountability, you don't have an alternative. So anything else that you use does damage to the criminal justice system by increasing backlogs. And you've got a lot of pseudoscience reports. You can look at the Google and search, and you come up with all this pseudoscience that's not correct. It doesn't represent what the academic scholars are showing on bail reform. And so I would say that there are systems in place. If you're a first-time offender and you're poor and you say you can't afford a bond, especially for a misdemeanor, there are systems in place. And the existing law that's currently in place says we can't just hold somebody for a misdemeanor through delay. If they're still in jail after a month, they have to be released for delay. And on a felony, it's 3 months. So we already have protections into the system that don't get talked about and get ignored, in fact. And what we have are these talking points. And, when it's a $500 bond, I mean, what's it cost to get out of jail? It's not costing $500. It's probably costing $50, $75. And today's, the bondsmen today, with the way the economy is, the way they do payment plans, I mean, except for in Harris County on really serious offenses, I don't know if I agree that ability to pay is a preclusion to getting out of jail. In years past, the criticism at the legislature, we weren't working with families. Now we're working with families too much. Yes, ma'am.
I guess that's the concern. I think the concern that Mike was trying to say was that where does the balance fall within equity for those essentially that can call a family member up or have the means to be able to say, yep, no problem, $50 is not a big deal. It's chump change essentially, or $500 or $1,000, where you have people who also, even though there are support services that the decree calls for, additional support services like social services, help with transportation to court, childcare, etc., I do think that there is concern a little bit when you start putting these bonds on people that you're setting them back.
Okay, I would actually disagree with you respectfully.
Sure.
I think when you're giving someone a personal bond and they have, let's compare. You've got somebody on a private surety bond and it has a less than 10% failure to appear rate. And you give someone simple release, a personal bond in Harris County, and that suddenly they have a 50%, an 80%, a 75% chance of failing to appear. You're putting them in a worse position once we correct the system and put accountability on it. I mean, do you realize that when you miss court, you can have charges filed against you for bail jumping? And so if we were, if the courts were to do that more in Harris County, then we're putting someone in a worse position just by the type of release that we're allowing them to use. I agree with what you're saying if they were comparable systems, but when when we're putting someone in a worse position by the release mechanism, I respectfully disagree with what is being argued.
Could a lot of this all be fixed just by a better court scheduling with arraignments, hearings, court dates, all that? But that's really where the problem lies in all this, is the delay before people are actually heard, or are we wrong?
I agree. I think that is part of the problem. We need cases to get resolved. We need to get justice to victims. And I actually think this new system in Harris County has actually slowed down the criminal justice system because you have to miss court 3 times before they can do anything to you. And when we started pointing out, or I think when the Sheriff's Association started pointing out that the failure to appear rates were so high, one of the things they did is they just started not requiring people to come to court. And so you only have to come to court when you're going to plead or when you're going to go to trial, but the rest of the time you don't have to come to court. And so that's the reason why you're seeing a lot more dismissals, because they can dismiss the case if the person's not in court. And so, I mean, I looked at the stats on 1 month, and by the end, they were dismissing over 90% of the cases on a monthly basis on misdemeanors in Harris County. So, I mean, we could save a whole bunch of money by just getting rid of misdemeanor courts if we're going to dismiss everything.
Ken Good is a bail attorney and board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. Ken, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Coming up, we'll talk to Shea Serrano about his new book. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
Next time on Living on Earth, the breakthrough research that quantified the health risks of burning fossil fuels.
Air pollution in the more polluted cities were contributing as much to attributable mortality as even cigarette smoking.
I'm Steve Kerwood. The famous 6 Cities study next time on Living on Earth from PRX.
Listen tomorrow night. It's on at 10 p.m.
4 men face starvation on the open sea when the captain makes a calculation to kill and, consume the cabin boy.
This is the better thing to do. This isn't just murder. This is killing one person to save 3 lives. This is a good thing, right?
Wrong, said British courts in 1884. Adam Cohen talks about his new book, Captain's Dinner, Saturday and Weekend Edition from NPR News.
It starts tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock.
Support comes from Houston Symphony. This weekend, November 21st through 23rd, experience a musical journey from darkness to light as music director Uri Valtua leads the symphony in Shostakovich's Symphony No. 10. Tickets at houstonsymphony.org. Support for Houston Public Media comes from Metro. Introducing Metro Downtown Direct, helping riders get home for the holidays with non-stop service between downtown and Bush Intercontinental Airport. Details at ridemetro.org/500.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Shea Serrano is a 5-time New York Times bestselling author known for writing books about sports and pop culture, including the Rap Year book. basketball and other things, and as well as movies and other things, to name just a few. But he has a latest book titled Expensive Basketball. It's quite the book, let me tell you. I've been reading it. It's a poetic examination of some of the most unforgettable and memorable moments in the history of basketball, from Kobe Bryant's 81-point game to Sue Bird's crossover to even Ray Allen's famous three-pointer. So much to talk about when it comes to basketball. Shea Serrano, welcome to Hello Houston. Are you coming to us from San Antonio?
I'm in San Antonio. Wait, can I say real quick? When I was waiting, I heard an ad for some other book about some people in a boat who ate a kid to stay alive. That sounds way more interesting than my book. We should get that guy on here.
We could find any of those
crazy.
sous chefs, right? Okay, so you lived in Houston, I read, for a while.
I did. I lived there for 14 years. That's where my wife is from. We met in college. We went to Sam Houston, which is about an hour north. And after she graduated, she went back to Houston. So I just sort of followed her there. We were there for 14 years. Then we moved to San Antonio in 2018.
And what a successful writing career you've been having. So tell us, in polite language, Shea, about expensive basketball.
Expensive basketball. So the phrase expensive basketball is something that I think people just will understand it intuitively. And the way that I present it in the book is with a hypothetical. I say, all right, if somebody were to show you a video of Ray Allen shooting a jump shot, and a video of Joakim Noah shooting a jump shot. Just these two guys shooting jumpers. And they said, okay, I'm not giving you any other information. I'm not going to explain anything. There's no other context here. Which of these two feels more expensive? You would know in your spirit, it's the Ray Allen one. You wouldn't know why you would know it, but you would know, oh, that feels expensive more than the other one. And that's really the point of the book, is just to talk about stuff that you can't put a number to. Everything in basketball is measured and quantified and counted, every single little piece of the game, but there's still some stuff that evades that doesn't, like Kevin Durant when he's in the mid-range. That just feels important. It feels expensive. It just looks different. You know what I mean? That's what the book is.
And that's exactly what I was curious about, Shea, as we were talking about this. We're using the word expensive. What does the word expensive mean when it's translating to basketball and just sports in general? Because we think of expensive as luxury goods, or we think of expensive as, something that you buy, but you just said this is something that doesn't have a price.
Yeah, expensive essentially is a synonym for important. Yeah. If I hand you something, I'm like, hey, don't drop this. It's expensive. That means, oh, this is an important thing, and let me take care of it. And that's how we're using it here. It's just one of those words that you can put it in front of anything, and somebody will treat it differently than if they think it's not expensive. Well, I give you a watch, and it's like, this is expensive. Oh, I'm going to be careful with it.
Yeah. I always say that if you don't believe in miracles, watch sports, and it's sort of what I read in your book. I mean, miracle after miracle of these amazing comebacks on teams, some amazing careers that these basketball players have had, and even surprises that you tell us about. So here's a question: who do you think is the greatest all-time basketball player?
All time ever?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's LeBron James.
Ooh,
for a lot of years, I had Michael Jordan.
I was gonna say.
If you go back to my 2017 book, I wrote a basketball book then. I have in that book, I specifically mentioned Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. But LeBron has since passed him. He's just done too much stuff for basketball and in basketball for it to be anybody else at this point.
Nice. What about teams? If you had to pick one team to be a huge fan of, who would that be?
Oh, easily the San Antonio Spurs, the greatest basketball franchise. The greatest franchise ever. Hey, but y'all look tough. The Rockets look tough this year. I'm very intimidated by the Rockets. But we beat y'all. We beat y'all, though. We beat y'all.
But who's keeping score?
I am.
In addition to keeping score and your sports involvement, attraction, writing, it must be odd to put your life into a sitcom. And for folks who don't know what I'm talking about Primo. You actually based a sitcom on your life.
Yeah, that was really fun to do. I did that. Came out 2 years ago. It's on Amazon still today. But I had the chance. I met with this guy named Mike Schur. Mike Schur is a TV genius. So every TV show that you love, he did it. So like he worked on The Office. He co-created Parks and Rec. He co-created Brooklyn Nine-Nine, created The Good Place. Like A Man on the Inside, which is on Netflix right now. Season 2 just came out yesterday. He's like a TV genius. And I met with him and we bonded over sports. I didn't even know that he was like a big, important TV guy, but we were just hanging out and we were talking about Spurs and Clippers and the Boston Celtics. And he's also a baseball guy. Whatever, but we were getting along really well, and he was like, "Oh, if you want to do like a TV thing together, let me know." And so that's how that ended up going. So I got to work on that show with him, and yeah, we came up with this sitcom about this kid living in San Antonio and like a high school kid, and it turned out really well. I'm very proud of it. It's got 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes, which made me feel very good. Yeah, it's great. It was a very positive experience.
Do you write most of it, or do you have co-writers?
Oh, that's the great thing about a TV show. With a book, you are responsible for every single thing. With a TV show, you're in a room with like 10 other writers. So I'm just surrounded by smart, funny people, all pitching ideas. And then we just take whatever the best one is, and that becomes the thing.
Shea, have you always been a writer?
No, I was a middle school teacher for 9 years prior to in Houston, in South Houston, at Stevenson Middle School. Prior to that, I worked at a construction company for a couple of years, which is my least favorite job. I do not recommend working construction. But while I was teaching, I started writing on the side. And then, over the course of a couple of years, it just sort of started to take off. And so, after 9 years, I left teaching and just became a full-time writer. And 2015, I've been doing it ever since.
And I think that's what's so impactful about your story, right, Shea? As a young Latino man, you didn't just start out with a sitcom. You've gone through different points in your life that have led to you now. A lot of people see authors when they've just already published the book.
You're well-rounded.
But not all the things and the ways that you got there,
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that you got to do. Because I grew up in San Antonio, like the south side of San Antonio. We were like on welfare, Section 8 housing, this whole thing. When you're growing up like that, they don't tell you writing is a job you can do. They tell you construction is a job you can do. Or do you want to go do the lawn service with one of your uncles, or do you want to work like you want to do tile with one of your other uncles? Like they're doing stuff like that. And so, yeah, I was just like trying all these different things and sort of following my feet and accidenting my way into a bunch of cool stuff.
Well, you say that nobody tells you can do writing as a job. Very few people can make a successful career out of writing as a job. And I'm curious, what is it you think in your voice that has allowed you to have the success you have? What do you bring to this that so many miss?
I think a bunch of it is luck. Like with the TV show thing, I never would have got to do that TV show if it wasn't for Mike Schur. Like walking in to pitch a TV show with Mike Schur is like walking onto a basketball court with Steph Curry, and Steph Curry being like, I want to play in the game, but only if my friend plays too. You know what I mean? Like that's why I got to do that show, because of that. I got to work at the Houston Press because of Chris Gray and Margaret Downing. They just decided they were going to give me a chance. Like it was always somebody reaching over and opening a door for me. I got to write my first book because Samantha Weiner at Abrams Books decided she was going to give me a chance to write the book. I don't mind saying like I'm a hard worker and I'm kind of good at writing, but there are people who work harder than me and are better writers who have been less lucky. I think so much of it is luck. And then the other part of it is just, you got to just keep trying stuff. That's all.
I got to say,
you got to try as much as possible.
I got to say, Shea, Expensive Basketball, it reads like basketball plays. It's fun. It's quick.
That's so nice.
You never know where it's going to go
nice.
next. It's a brilliant book. So congratulations.
Shea Serrano.
Thank you very much.
Shea Serrano is a 5-time New York Times bestselling author. Again, Shea, thanks for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Go Spurs, go.
Expensive Basketball.
Go Rockets.
That's right. Expensive Basketball is available now wherever you purchase your books. And coming up, we'll continue diving into today's top stories. We'll also speak with Daniel and Carol Price about preserving architect Victor Lundy's home. Stay with us for this second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manous, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Houston Symphony. This weekend, November 21st through 23rd, experience a musical journey from darkness to light as music director Uri Valchua leads the symphony in Shostakovich's Symphony No. 10. Tickets at houstonsymphony.org.
Houston Public Media is a service of the University of Houston and is supported with your gifts to the Houston Public Media Foundation. More information available online at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
We have a 50% chance of storms this afternoon. Currently it's 80, and this is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, in a series of posts, President Trump reacted to a video by Democratic lawmakers, ending with, quote, seditious behavior punishable by death. We'll discuss this and more as we continue diving into today's top stories. I'm Frank Billingsley.
And I'm Ernie Manous. We'll also be joined by a Houston couple, Daniel and Carol Price, who will talk to us about preserving famed architect Victor Lundy's home in Bellaire.
And I'm Celestia Sherman. Plus, we'll also talk with the organizers of the Tejano Music Awards, which has relocated to the Houston area for the first time after nearly 5 decades in San Antonio.
And we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump will meet with New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani today at the White House. It's their first in-person meeting, but NPR's Elena Moore reports they've already repeatedly clashed leading up to today's visit.
Trump has been a vocal opponent of Mamdani. He argues that the 34-year-old Democratic socialist is too extreme, falsely calling him a communist, and in the lead-up to Election Day, even threatened to pull the city's federal funding if Mamdani won. It's a narrative that Mamdani has pushed back on, vowing to carry out his agenda focused on lowering the cost of living. He spoke about the upcoming White House visit to reporters on Thursday.
My team reached out to the White House to set up this meeting because I will work with anyone to make life more affordable for the more than 8.5 million people who call this city home.
Mamdani's meeting with Trump comes just over a month before he takes office on January 1st. Elena Moore, NPR News.
The Trump administration is expected to direct the Justice Department to challenge artificial intelligence laws in dozens of states. NPR's Bobby Allen reports it's part of a push to undo regulations that the tech industry opposes.
A draft White House executive order viewed by NPR aims to override state AI regulations that have passed around the country. States have enacted more than 100 laws reining in various aspects of AI, while Congress has not passed any. According to the Trump administration's proposed order, not enforcing those state laws would be a condition of receiving federal funding for broadband investments, and the Justice Department would be instructed to sue states over the laws. The push is being led by AI and crypto czar David Sachs, a billionaire tech investor who is leading the White House's policy on AI. Legal observers say if it is signed, the order would likely face a legal challenge for interfering with the democratic process of state legislators. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
The United Nations peacekeeping mission in Lebanon says it has reported about 10,000 Israeli violations of UN resolutions since the two countries agreed to a ceasefire a year ago. Jana Raff has more from Beirut.
UNIFIL said this week it had reported to the UN Security Council over 7,500 Israeli air violations and almost 2,500 ground incursions since the two countries signed a ceasefire a year ago. The Israeli attacks have killed more than 300 people, according to the Lebanese government. UNIFIL says at least 1/3 were civilians. Israel says it has responded to the military group Hezbollah attempts to rebuild its military capacity. UNIFIL has not recorded any cross-border violations by Hezbollah after the ceasefire. For NPR News, I'm Jana Raff in Beirut.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now up 636 points. This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. A federal judge has issued a blistering dissent after 2 other judges on the same panel blocked Texas's congressional redistricting map from taking effect next year. News 88.7 government reporter Andrew Schneider says the case has major ramifications for whether Republicans retain control of the House and for the future of the Trump presidency.
U.S. Circuit Judge Jerry E. Smith lost in the 2-1 ruling. In a more than 100-page dissent, Smith wrote the big winners in the case are liberal activists and politicians. At South Texas College of Law Houston professor Josh Blackman says Smith argues his fellow judges displayed their own judicial activism.
It's unusual for a judge to talk about politics so much, but the basic claim is this is about politics. And under the controlling precedent of the circuit, gerrymandering is permissible for political reasons, even if not for racial reasons.
The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to weigh in. I'm Andrew Schneider, News 88.7.
A local nonprofit is seeking sponsors for its food giveaway this weekend after a spike in need. Families Helping Families is giving free groceries, including Thanksgiving turkeys, to 1,700 families on Saturday at locations across the greater Houston area. The organization's founder, Quincy Collins, says most of the locations are already at capacity, but families may still be able to sign up to attend a Missouri City giveaway.
What we're seeing is unprecedented. I have never had so many people in need of food.
More information about how to register can be found at houstonpublicmedia.org. In sports, the Texans' defense led them to a win number 3 in a row.
Meanwhile, Buffalo goes up-tempo, and Allen's going to get sacked again. And Allen steps up, look out, runs around again, down he goes again. Allen throws off his back foot, short, picked at the 9-yard line.
Al Michaels on the call via Amazon Prime last night. The Texans beat Buffalo 23-19, capturing their 3rd win in a row. They get the win with backup quarterback Davis Mills and are sitting just outside of the playoff picture. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. As a fiduciary, Fisher Investments is obligated to act in their client's best interest. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. This is NPR.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Friday. Hello, weekend.
Hello,
Date of the
Ernie.
week. What is it?
Today is Friday, November 21st.
My friend Greg Ferris's birthday.
Happy birthday, Greg.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Hello, Ernie. Hello, Frank.
Friday birthdays are the best, I think. And
Friday
Saturdays. But
well,
Fridays...
my birthday this year is on a Friday.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard.
It's next Friday.
Really?
But
You're turning
we'll be
age
on...
yet again? Didn't you just do that last week?
We'll be on vacation. Everybody will be off.
Yeah. Mine's on a Monday next year.
Boo.
I know, right?
I have no idea. Nor do I care what day of the week it is. It's a celebration that goes on all month when I have a birthday. You know what? Celeste and I were talking about this a little bit during the break there, is that, everyone's getting ready, starting to make sure they get their shopping done for Thanksgiving. Remember, if you have a frozen turkey, got to move it into the fridge. How many people have thought,
my gosh,
Tuesday night, I'll pull it out for Thursday or even Wednesday night? It ain't going to work. You need 5 good days in the fridge, and it's okay if it thaws a little early as long as you keep it in the fridge. So do it this weekend. Don't get caught off guard.
Make sure you thaw that turkey. By the way, out in our lobby, I had a quick little conversation with Daniel and Carol Price.
Yes.
They're here to talk about preserving the Victor Lundy home over in Bellaire. So that's coming up in the next half hour.
It is. And headlines are coming up shortly. You ready for them?
Let's do it.
Let's get into this first one. We're jumping in.
it.
It's a lot.
Yes, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Thursday President Trump does not actually want to see members of Congress executed, despite his social media post earlier in the day, calling a video by some members, quote, seditious behavior punishable by death. Trump made a pair of posts on his site, Truth Social, in response to a video posted by Representative Jason Crow, a Democrat from Colorado, Chris Deluzio, Maggie Goodlander, and Chris Houlihan, all Democrats, elected official, and Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and Eliza Slotkin, where the lawmakers address members of the military and intelligence communities and said, you can refuse illegal orders.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
The lawmakers repeated the phrases several times before saying, you must refuse illegal orders. The lawmakers, all of whom come from military backgrounds, said, quote, this administration is pitting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens, unquote. The video posted to Facebook also says, quote, right now the threats of our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but right here at home, unquote. White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt clarified the president's comments yesterday.
Let's be clear about what the president is responding to. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders.
What are your thoughts on Trump's post or the Democrat videos? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Bit of a debate over what's lawful and what's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The president is not supposed to declare war. Maybe they see the Venezuela thing blowing up and they're trying to get behind it, maybe. It's almost like they see something that we don't, because they didn't tell us the impetus for the video that they made.
Right, but interviews that I've seen with the lawmakers who made the video are implying it also has to do with the occupation or the involvement in cities and them bringing in the military into the cities in the U.S.
Well, again, that's something we don't know, but that could be the next step.
Right.
Bringing more military people in, not just National Guard, but military people.
I do, for the sake of argument, just want to go back to what exactly Trump posted, because I think it's important. I think in some ways, some of the news media has been misrepresenting it, not falsely, but by the way they're combining things. There were 3 different posts that went up on Truth. The first one said, it's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial, all in caps. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. President Donald J. Trump. The next one said, this is really bad and dangerous for our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, all caps. Lock them up, all caps. President JDT. The third one simply said, seditious behavior, comma, punishable by death, exclamation point. They were, over a period of time, they were not all released right next to each other, and they were not a single post. Can't call it a tweet anymore. The reason I bring that up is because as he moves through it, he's justifying and also redefining what he's saying and giving explainers. So does he actually say these lawmakers should be put to death? He doesn't literally say that, but he does say it's seditious behavior and then later defines seditious behavior, just for a point of being absolutely clear.
Well, Mark Kelly, I don't know if you saw, he's Captain Mark Kelly, said, I've had a missile blow up next to my airplane, been shot at dozens of times by anti-aircraft fire, and launched into orbit, all for my country. I never thought I'd see a president call for my execution. Trump doesn't understand the Constitution, and we're all less safe for it. So they're snapping back.
Yes, 713-440-8870. You can join the conversation right now on Hello Houston. We have a call from Kima.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. Well, I was a former member of the military. I'm retired now, but we had classes on law of land warfare, and, this stuff was reiterated to us over and over again. And it's part of our Uniform Code of Military Justice. Article 92 says you don't follow illegal orders. So all they were doing was just reinforcing what military's told over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the presidential spokesman, she said unlawful orders. Well, we know we don't follow unlawful orders. I mean, but it's like I said, it's just reinforcing what the military's already taught.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with what they said.
What illegal orders do you think they're referring to? I mean, obviously, if you're told go in and shoot those innocent people that are not anything other than civilians, that's an illegal order, and you don't have to follow that. But what illegal orders do you think that they're referring to?
Well, this administration is putting the military in situations where it shouldn't be used in the first place. But it seems like they're trying to maneuver them into situations where they may be forced to do certain things that they're not really supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah, Heliano, thank you for your comments. It is there are codes and rules that have to be followed for disobeying lawful orders, which can lead to penalties such as confinement, forfeiture of pay, or dishonorable discharge. And there is also, as Heliano just stated, that say that if you do something that is unlawful, that the order is unlawful, you have the right not to follow an unlawful order. But there are conditions you must follow to prove something is an illegal order.
And again, 713-440-8870. Let's go to Gary from the Heights. Gary, welcome to Hello Houston.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say that I worked with a National Guardsman. I was in the automobile industry, but the National Guardsman would often be called up on occasion. And he made this statement very profoundly that while Obama was president, he said this, I will not obey Obama if he wants me to go help protect black people like Michael Brown. So I called him back a couple of weeks ago, and he was actually deployed in Chicago. So I had a cell phone number, and I said, I thought you had said you were never going to obey the president's order if it was not legal. He said it's constitutional that you can't do that. And he said, well, but in this case, it's our president, and we have to obey our president. So, I just couldn't believe the flip-flop the guy made about obeying the president right or wrong.
That's a tough one.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. Another call just came in from Rob downtown. Rob, welcome to Hello Houston. What are your thoughts about this?
Hello, all. Frank, you're right. I mean, the definition of what is illegal and not should be discussed. But as a reminder, we've already had Marine Corps or Marines in L.A. We've had an high-ranking naval officer resign because of the issue of blowing up boats in the Caribbean from Venezuela without due process. We are told they're carrying drugs, but we have not been shown those facts. So I think that's what they're saying, and I don't think what they being the congressmen and senators, just once again reiterating to our military what the code of military justice is. So I'll let you guys debate that from there.
Well, it's a hard position to be in if you are in the military because you do have a commander-in-chief, and you're sworn to uphold the Constitution,
right?
And you want to do the right thing. And so, if the commander-in-chief is giving you an order, why are you the one that has to determine whether it is illegal or not? Congress should step up and say, that can't happen. This is illegal. We cannot bomb boats in the Caribbean. We cannot invade Venezuela for no reason. We are Congress. We are the ones that have these powers, not Trump. And Trump is putting these people in a horrible position that they want to do the right thing. Yeah. But they got to know what the right thing is. And I think that's up to the Congress. And they won't step up to do it. I mean, it's crickets after all this. I haven't heard of a single Republican on this issue.
Right.
Not one. Boy, when Charlie Cook was assassinated, that's all everybody talked about and how awful and it was. But these situations when it is reversed and the president is saying sedition, they should be put to death. Nobody says a word.
Right.
The part of the problem, too, in the president's post was that he reposted a message. Someone on text reminded me of this also. He reposted a supporter's message, one of the president's supporters, that said, hang them, George Washington would. And that's where the hang them comes into the conversation also.
I'm not sure that George Washington hung Benedict Arnold. So, somebody did.
And again, 713-440-8870. Carrie from Kingwood is on the line. Carrie, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks, Carrie. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to speak to Ernie's point on the tweets, them not being all, together. Mm-hmm. I think the intent is clear, and I feel like that is a part of the issue, is that he's not getting called out on his real, true intent. A lot of times we, give everybody the benefit of the doubt and we say, oh, maybe he didn't mean that. I think after all of this time, it's pretty clear what he means. And to Frank's point about, what is the illegal action, it's been proven in a court of law that his action calling the troops into the cities was illegal. They haven't removed the troops yet because that's on hold, but that's what the illegal action was.
And Carrie, I don't disagree with what you're saying. My point was just I want to make sure people understand how it rolled out, because he does call it seditious behavior and he does say that should be punishable by death. So the intent is there. It's just always important that we continue to exactly lay out exactly how it happened so that when people form their opinion of the situation, they have the facts correctly in front of them. That's also why I wanted to point out that it wasn't Trump that said hang them. It was the repost that Trump forwarded. So, yeah, thank you for that.
And now we're going to go to Tim from Spring. Tim, welcome to Hello Houston. What are your thoughts?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Let me say, I think all of this is busy work for the troops. He has the troops stationed in these cities that are known to push back. And I think all the deportation, while it is work, is a distraction, because I think something bigger is on our doorstep and he will already have the troops in place.
Mm-hmm. You are not the first person I've heard that has speculated that. There's also concern that if folks push back against the military, that could lead to further actions, which could then possibly even delay elections when elections come around next year.
Or put military people at the polls to make sure that the voting is done legally.
All speculative at this point, but it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Thank you very much for those comments.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to keep moving right along. Coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to be speaking with Daniel and Carol Price. But what else do we have going on, Ernie?
Well, we're also still monitoring our YouTube, and I'm looking at some of the comments there. Has there ever been a successful claim that an order was unlawful in U.S. military history, which is a good question, especially the movie Nuremberg is out in theaters right now. And if you remember the Nuremberg trials, it was stating that just because you're following orders doesn't make you responsible for illegal acts, which leads to us saying that our military does not have to do illegal acts because you are ultimately responsible for your behavior. So that's an interesting point to bring up, especially right now. And I do not know. I'm assuming there have been moments of unlawful orders given in the U.S. military, but I do not have that offhand.
Well, the big case was William Calley Jr. case, convicted of murder for his role in the My Lai massacre. Although Calley claimed he was, quote, just following orders from his superior, Lieutenant William Calley was the only U.S. soldier to be convicted of murder for the incident. And it sparked a lot of national debate. I remember when this happened.
The bigger problem I see in this entire story is that simply a group of elected officials make a video in which they state something that is law and policy in our country. That's what they did. They stated a fact.
And they're all military or
all
CIA
all
backgrounds. So
yes.
They know what they're talking about.
Right. You're talking about experts.
So I don't know how that becomes sedition. I don't know how.
What we don't know is why they did it. Right. I mean, unless they see something. Well, I mean, this has been going on a long time. Mm-hmm. The troops that were sent into Los Angeles was last summer. Mm-hmm. So now, as we head into the Thanksgiving break, we're going to make a video 3 and 4 months after this has all been going on. It seems like they almost see something coming, like our last caller pointed out. They almost see something coming that we don't see. Mm-hmm. That there are rumblings that they're hearing, and they're trying to say, don't get caught up in this if it's illegal.
Right. But if a bunch of city council members made a video in which they said, do not drive over the speed limit, it's against the law, where is the crime there? They are simply stating the laws, the policies, the procedures that we follow in this nation. They didn't call out any specific thing. They didn't say, don't do this in Chicago or in Minneapolis. Yeah.
Right. Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll speak with Daniel and Carol Price about preserving architect Victor Lundy's home. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner Ellen and I have been proud supporters of public radio and TV for decades.
We really would be lost without our daily fix of unbiased national and local news, cultural programming, and great entertainment.
But with recent federal defunding, stations like Houston Public Media face real challenges.
Now's the time to step up.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Thank you.
Coming up today at 1 o'clock.
I'm Frank Billingsley, host of Hello Houston. If your forecast this holiday season calls for fun, friendship, and a little cheer, I have the perfect event for you. When you give $60 to Houston Public Media, you can select a ticket to our News and Brews event at St. Arnold Brewing Company this February. It's your chance to meet me in the News 88.7 newsroom in person and enjoy an evening of connection and community. As a thank you, you'll receive a Houston Public Media pint glass at the event to toast the new year. Celebrate the holidays and grab your ticket now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
This week on This American Life, I teach our hands her class a white cardboard box. It's closed. They can shake it, but they can't open it. They have to guess what's inside. And then she takes the box away.
And I get sick when I'm wondering. You get sick? I'm allergic to wondering. I'm allergic to wondering.
Stories of people who just want to know. This week.
It's on tomorrow morning at 11.
This has been a tough stretch for President Trump and the Republican Party. Election losses, a court ruling against redistricting in Texas, and a fight over the Epstein files that could tear the GOP apart. We'll discuss what type of response we can expect from President Trump on the defensive. I'm David Green. Join Liz Brunig, Sarah Isker, and me for the next Left, Right, and Center.
You can listen to that Sunday. It's on at 5 p.m.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
All right, a mid-century modern home in Bellaire, designed and once lived in by celebrated architect Victor Lundy and his family, was on the brink of being dismantled. But thanks to a last-minute effort, it's been bought and saved by a Houston area couple. Joining us to talk about what this rescue means for the city and what comes next for the home are Daniel Price, director of the Data and Society Program and the Community Health Workers Initiative, and his wife, Carol Price, a member of the Board of Directors for Preservation Houston. Welcome, both of you, to Hello Houston.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, I'll put it out there first. Victor Lundy was Hollywood good looking.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was
a World War II.
World War II
hero. Yeah. I mean, he's got it all going on.
He was a showstopper.
Yeah.
Born in 1923, died last year, lived to be 101 years old.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
And from, I guess, about 1973, he lived here in Houston. Is that right?
I think it's 77, I thought.
Was it 77?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about him, then the house that you're saving and why you're saving and what you're going to do with it. It's kind of the order I'm thinking here. So tell us more about Victor if people don't really know much about him.
Well, do you want to start? Have you delved into him? I frankly didn't really know who he was until we went to an open house. So I'm a new fan as of about a year. I now see that his name is cropped up. Do you have a short answer, Dan?
Well, I mean, I think
answer.
it's part of what's interesting is he went to school about the same time as Paul Rudolph, getting his degree under Walter Gropius at Harvard in 1953 or 54. And Paul Rudolph became famous for doing all these brutalist buildings that are really unpopular right now. And Victor Lundy was, if anything, more popular for a while, kind of late 50s. He got quite a bit of coverage. Moved down to Sarasota, where Paul Rudolph also was doing these things in kind of a parallel way, but was just a lot more human in his scale and how he's thinking about
his
stuff.
Architecture that I saw, like pagoda-style roofs.
Yes, fun.
And the churches, he described that when we pray and we put our hands together, we don't let the light in and the space. And so the roofs of his churches would open up a little bit because he thought that if we open our hands, but they go up like hands that are praying. And fabulous church architecture.
Opposite of the brutalist stuff. It's like, it's all human, it's all got about light, it's very warm. I think it's
no stained glass windows. You want light. You want windows to see what's out there in nature, which was, I guess, sort of a Frank Lloyd Wright thing also.
Right.
Yes.
And he didn't get really big kind of buildings over and over again. He's got the tax court building
in
Washington, D.C. He did some design on the Omni in Austin.
Yeah, it's supposed to be gorgeous. We have to make a pilgrimage.
But
and the embassy in Sri Lanka.
And it's so interesting, though, right? Y'all are mentioning these cities and talking about architecture. I mean, the truth is Houston isn't really known to be a city where people come to see architecture. So what was it for Victor Lundy that he wanted to build this house?
So this particular house, I think, is very interesting as a personal statement. He has a gorgeous and larger house that's up in Aspen in Colorado. And he was up there in the early 70s, and the then president of U of H was at a party with him and said, "Oh, you're not very happy at Sarasota right now? Why don't you just come be an architecture professor?"
Just come here.
And he just
Interesting.
sewed up in Houston.
Yeah. Hired on the spot.
His wife is a quite well-known watercolorist, Anstis, and she had stuff going on up there. He built a beautiful studio for her with this kind of curved roof that's got north-facing light. It's just really well thought out. And it actually was the first building on the lot that we just purchased. Then he built a house to go with the studio. It's just very, very intentional kind of construction for a life lived in that site.
But I guess a bigger question in all of this is, how do we find ourselves in the situation that a home like this is about to be demolished? I guess, Carol, take me there.
It's such a Houston story.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's in Bellaire, it's on this beautiful, large lot. And it's a small house built for just a couple in their 60s. I think people had an eye on it, as is the way in Houston, to build a much larger house, which meant removing. They have all sorts of euphemisms for replacing the existing house, and so that's what was going to happen. And it's surrounded by much larger houses that were built in the 80s and 70s, 80s and 90s. And so this one stands alone.
Did the folks know what they had?
Well, it was the guy that was the in-between owner.
Yeah.
Knew. I mean, he bought it from the Lundy family, and he said he knew what he had, but then he also decided that it wasn't big enough.
He said to us that he didn't understand that it was really supposed to be a work of art. He just thought it was a building, and
And we think it's a work of art.
We actually think it is more of a work of art than not.
So
it's kind of interesting that way.
If it is considered essentially, some people might look at it and think this is a teardown, how are you guys going to preserve it? And what do you think it means for Houston to have this piece of artwork?
Well, this is part of why you're on Preservation Houston's board. So.
Oh, well, yeah. So we wanted to, not in a martyr sort of way, but we wanted to make an example of the fact that this one didn't have to go. Other houses have been torn down on River Oaks Boulevard and everywhere else around. And this one, it was just, we had to step up and look in our pocketbook to see if we could buy this one out from being demolished. So it is really special. When I walked into it, it was in an open house, and I'd never seen a house in Houston like that before. It really is unusual.
Well, I was going to say, tell us about this house. Describe it for us.
So, it's like a study in light. What I thought was interesting about it is, the clear story in a church is that light level that's up high. Mr. Lundy has built that throughout this house. There's, it looks a little bit like, although it's low slung on the landscape, it looks like it's floating. It's one story, glass throughout.
How many square feet?
It's 4,000 if you count the studio.
The
it's about
studio is very
2,000 for
large.
the living space.
Yeah.
That's a good size house.
Yeah, but it's the houses around it are 6,000 to 8,000.
Yeah. So are we talking like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, or what?
No, it's really essentially 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath. But what he managed to get a second bedroom in, so it's 2, and then he made this tiny shower that looks like a phone booth in what would have been a half bath. So it's a 2-2.
That's a 2-2.
Did I read correctly that you all don't plan to live there?
We love the house that we live in, so it's a little bit of a conundrum as to what to do with it. It's so beautiful, empty right now with nothing in it. It's like a sculpture that you walk into.
We have a lot of friends who are artists that do things like artist residencies, and so if we could support artists that are coming down to work for like the Core Fellowship or something like that at U of H, and they could live there, they could use the studio, something like that might be a
or
good
an
use of
architecture student, an architecture class. We'd like to show people how beautiful it is.
Take me back a little bit. We were talking about, did the old owner know what they had? How did you first become aware of it? You, Carol, said you walked into an open house. You must have known what open house you were walking into initially, but how did this come into your radar?
So Preservation Houston is excellent about, and also it's the second group in Houston called Houston Mod. They seek out open houses that are realtor open houses so that people like me can just come and take a look at houses that are for sale and hopefully find a like-minded buyer. And so this house was just one of the ones that I was like, well, I go to ones all over the place, all over Houston. Some are about to be torn down and some are not. This one was in pretty good shape. It already had a contract on it with this former owner that we bought. So anyway, it wasn't really for sale, but the realtor was there, and Preservation Houston staff members were there, and architects were there. Everybody wanted to see this house. It was open for 2 days, and so I said, well, just drive over there. It's just right close in Bellaire, And so when I walked in, I was stunned, and I don't usually bug Dan because he's a busy guy, so I went on my own. It was a 2-day open house, and I came home and I said, tomorrow you have to find a few minutes to go because this house is beautiful. It's magical. And so he went and felt the same way when he stepped into it.
Are you art collectors?
Sort of.
Just art house collectors.
We buy friends as opposed to
we have some friends
people.
there in the art world, and we bought their art.
Carol, you mentioned Preservation Houston, and what type of challenges when someone takes on this type of, buying a home and restoring, what kind of challenges does our area present? Humidity and flooding.
Floodplains
that you're going to be looking at.
Yeah, so we bought it knowing that these questions existed without an answer.
Yeah.
And so, but the first one in my mind is that it has no preservation on it. So we could put X million dollars into fixing it up and making it look beautiful, and the next owner could literally come and tear it down. So,
oh gosh, I did not realize. So there's an actual process that it has to go through.
Well, if it doesn't have to go through.
We can try and get it on the National Registry.
So we're thinking about we're looking into the National Register of Historic Places to show people that Victor Lundy and his own home are worth knowing about and worth saving. And we've gotten some positive feedback a little bit from the National Register that they would consider adding this house, which means that we can ask for other protections.
Does that also limit what you can do when a house is on the historical
yes and no. I think you can't paint it purple. Good
idea in general.
But you might be able to paint it purple if you applied to. So we live in a house that we ourselves have landmarked with the City of Houston landmark because we live in the City of Houston. And we've managed.
The City of Bellaire does not have a landmark.
The City of Bellaire has no landmark preservation ordinances in place at all. And so we are hoping to somehow be an example of how this house might be preserved.
Yeah.
It might be a preservation Texas, or there's other ways that are state level.
Like a gem within our own city, in our own area. Now, does Victor Lundy have any children?
He has
children.
2 children. They live out of town.
So does it have to be raised? I mean, did this house do okay with all the flooding that we had in the Bellaire area?
It doesn't have to be raised if it has the national registration. If it's on the national registry, then it does not have to be raised.
It's grandfather.
It's exempted under Bellaire city ordinances.
But do you know how it did during the Memorial Day
flood?
flood?
It got about 4 inches during Harvey.
But it was the only time it flooded. So those other ones.
4 inches inside the house?
Yeah.
Okay. So at least you know that going into it.
Yes.
But it's a modernist house with stone floors.
Yeah, you could essentially just brush
the way
the
they
water
are,
out.
all should be built
It's
that
on
way.
a cement slab.
Yeah. So the water came in and the water went out.
Exactly.
Just get a push broom. That's all you need. I get it. That's good.
That's the way it looks when you step.
I wonder if he knew that when he moved here. But there was a lot going on in the 70s with Philip Glass. I mean, the Transco, now the Williams Tower being built. Yeah. There was a lot of great architecture in the 70s and 80s that sort of got ground down to a halt when the oil bust came along.
That's right.
Right. And then Philip Johnson
built the Minnow
was
House.
also, I mean, it's kind of same age group.
Yeah.
He did that kind of gorgeous glass house.
In Connecticut.
And the backyard of the Lundy house feels like the glass house. It's like it's got this kind of amazing kind of, it floats a little bit.
Yeah.
It's got this sense that you've just erased a line between the outside and inside.
Yes.
But you're somehow kind of invited into the space.
Do we have any information or writings by Victor Lundy about this house?
They are apparently quite a bit of stuff in the Library of Congress
His
that
full
we had not
plans
been able
for
to
the
get.
house?
Yeah,
The government shutdown meant that we could not get them.
And as a shout out, there's a great book by Donna Kochmar, who's a faculty at U of H architecture.
So it's a great Victor Lundy book that she created. She wrote and guest authors, and she knew Mr. Lundy, so she interviewed him. It's quite a good book
about this house.
Do we know how much of his work has been lost? Are there many structures that have been not treated and loved as you are with this house that we've lost?
So in that book, as well as other Lundy books that we now own,
there's become authorities now.
There's several in Sarasota, which I think have been hurricane damaged or again with development.
But there's some still there.
But there's some still there.
I can only find one other house in Houston that he did.
Right.
So did he just do the two?
Two houses and a studio for him to do his.
Where's the other house?
On Sandman, I think.
Yeah, it's in the West End. Yeah. And I think it's still there.
And the person who had it built is still living in it.
Yes. So we look forward to giving her a call at some point.
Are you concerned of the popularity this house is getting, and now that there are going to be people wanting to stop by and see it, and the attention it's getting, or is that the whole point of being out here talking about it?
Both, yes, and we wish it could be a house museum secretly, but it's zoned residential,
right?
And we're not sure exactly what that means, but we're working on figuring out what you can and can't do in a resident. We don't want to disturb the neighbors. It's on a street of quiet.
But we might make it available for nonprofits to use.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I'd see notes about
residential is possible.
And now that
with
we own
nonprofits.
it, we could just have Preservation Houston offer a tour under its umbrella.
So did he live there until he passed?
Yes.
So 101. He never went to assisted living or any of that.
Just like
the
2
last
months.
2 months.
We moved away, and just 2 months later he was gone. So he lived almost all of his third of his life there.
It's kind of amazing.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it's amazing to get to 101.
Yeah.
Right.
But to live in your own dream house is, I think, just pretty ideal. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful home, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also, in that congratulations, wonder what kind of headaches you have just unearthed for yourselves. As you
Hopefully, it's not a
with
money
that.
pit.
We'll see.
There's a little
We'll see.
he had already disconnected the electricity and the water and the sewage. So reconnecting that has already been kind of
a
headache.
Money pit.
But I think though that's what's so hard, right? Because I think so many people have good intentions of wanting to preserve beautiful architecture and historical landmarks, but then whenever you look at the reality of it, so few people can actually do it unless an organization gets behind them, unless there is a way or a plan, it feels like.
I think Preservation Houston is trying to grow that direction. So hopefully they'll be able to fill the void when someone buys an old house and says, help.
Yeah.
They can offer protection civically, I guess, as landmarking, or how to put the shingles back, the correct shingles, or glass a window size.
And unlike a John Staub house, this actually wasn't built in a very expensive way.
Yeah.
They did all sorts of things that were
Well,
we
not
can
to sound
fix a little bit
not to
better.
sound crass, but what's the Airbnb rules over there?
I don't know. We haven't looked at that yet. But
You
yeah,
might wanna take a
it'll
look.
be on the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah, apparently there's a whole market for people who want to stay at the kind of architecturally significant places.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Historic lighthouses and
Yes,
places,
lighthouses, yeah.
lots of
Yeah, I
places
think
in
the-
Galveston.
The glass house is $20,000 a night, I think.
Yeah, and I guarantee if you made this house a Instagram account, you'd probably have like thousands of people.
Now you got it. Okay, that's
Hashtag
right.
Lundy.
That's right. Because it should be a positive example. So that's the way you get it out these days, right?
Absolutely.
Social
Dan,
media.
Social media. Dan and Carol Price, thank you both for joining us today on
Thank you
Hello
so much
Houston.
for having us.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
having
it.
us. Appreciate it.
And coming up, the Tejano Music Awards are in town. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
It's on this Sunday at 1 p.m.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
This Sunday night at 10.
I'm Maria Hinojosa. Next time on Latino USA, Nati Peluso shares words to live by in order to make it to the top.
Being a woman, it means being bad behavior, because if you do what you want to do, everyone is going to be disappointed, because what I really need to do is always not the right thing to do for the industry, for the crowd.
That's next time on Latino USA.
Sunday night at 7.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Discovery Green Conservancy and Green Mountain Energy, presenting ICE, Houston's outdoor ice skating rink, open through February 16th at Discovery Green. More information at discoverygreen.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
For decades, Tejano music has been a voice for Mexican-American culture, bringing together a fusion of genres like corridos and rancheras with European polkas and American pop, rock, country, and even R&B. And this year, for the first time in almost 5 decades, the biggest night in Tejano music has relocated from San Antonio, Texas, and will take place in Katy. The Tejano Music Awards has been a pillar within the Texas music industry, and some are even saying it's having a comeback with younger generations. Joining us now to tell us more about the Tejano Music Awards is Blanca Beltran-Robinson of Champions Club Agency and Yeisi, singer and songwriter and nominee for Tejano Music Awards. Blanca, Yeisi, welcome. Bienvenidos to Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having us. We're super excited to be here to talk to you guys and tell all your audience about Tejano music being here. But the music never left. Let's just start with that, because Tejano music has been around for a long time. But the first time that it's coming to Houston in terms of the Tejano Music Awards, that's huge. So we had to make it big, so we had to, create an experience for our fans and, bring in artists like Yeisi, who, comes from the Valley and has had his own success in his artistry as well. So we're so excited to just feature the different new talent that's in town too.
And I think that's one of the first questions when we were talking about this is essentially it's been in San Antonio for a long time. San Antonio pretty much dominated this event. Why Katie? Why move?
So I think initially they've been trying several times to bring it to Houston, but for some reason things have fallen through and it just didn't happen. And this year they finally said, you know what, the board said, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And it just, all the connecting dots came together, and Katie made the offer, and it just, it was all alignment.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it sold out, you guys, in 72 hours without promoting one artist that was performing or any kind of social media, anything other than the fact that it was happening, 72 hours, all the tables were sold out.
Well, those lucky enough to have a ticket,
yes.
What do they expect? What are they going to get?
There's going to be presentations, obviously, for the awards for the best singers, for the best artists, the new songs, and the different other categories. And we're going to have Ram Herrera performing. We're also going to have La Diferencia. And Yeisi, what do you want to chime in on the different artists that are coming?
Yeisi, what are you nominated for? Yes.
I was nominated last year.
Yes.
Last year with a duet, a song that I recorded with the man that they're honoring for the Lifetime Achievement, Mr. Ram Herrera, who anybody that knows Tejano knows. Ram's been around for decades. He's one of the Tejano greats. And last year we had a nomination for the collaboration. This year, like Blanca was saying, it's so exciting to have it in a new place. Because it's always been in San Antonio, and I've been going for the past 5 years. And yesterday we had media night, and we were talking about, how do you feel about having it in Houston? And it just feels exciting to see something new, something different. And I was comparing it to like a new car smell. It's exciting to get that. Let's see how the city embraces it. Obviously, they sold out, so obviously they are. But just to see the vibe here in Houston, and let the Houston people and people from the surrounding areas have a chance to attend it, because not everybody can drive to San Antonio and drive and get the hotel and spend the days. But if it's here in your hometown, give the Tejano fans in the city of Houston a chance to enjoy it firsthand.
Yeah.
So Yeisi, how did you get to the point you're at today? If I'm not mistaken, were you a school teacher?
Yes, I taught music. I studied music in college. Cello was the formal instrument that I studied.
Wow.
And I kind of balanced it, I always had a love for songwriting.
Yeah.
And I started, recording some independent stuff. And before I knew it, I had enough for an album. And then I recorded a video. And then one big jump was when I became a member of the Grammy, of the Recording Academy, as a songwriter, as an artist. And that really helps you kind of move to the next level. I just got back from the Latin Grammys last week in Vegas. And that's a great place to network and in my case, as a songwriter, also push my songs and have other artists record them as well.
There have to be students that come up and be like, "Hey, you used to be my teacher."
I've had a lot of them reach out to me online. They find me and they remember me. And
do you remember them?
I remember some of them. I always say there are some whose face stay the same no matter how old they get, and some who change completely.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I had great music teachers as an elementary and middle school and high school student. So I know, hopefully I passed some of that on to my students.
Well, it's cool because actually, in a sense, you are still educating, but on a different platform with a different style, and being able to share your music and your stories on a much broader spectrum than the classical.
It's so interesting being a cellist. I mean, what is the instrument now that you play whenever you're performing, or are you a singer?
Well, when I write songs, I usually use guitar or piano. Those are kind of the two go-to instruments to write a song, because you could find the chords, and it's kind of gives you a good idea of what the song can sound like.
Yeah.
I studied a little bit of those in college, because you got to take your applied piano classes, but enough to where I can write my songs. On stage, I don't really play any instruments. I just sing the songs.
Oh, you don't come up and accompany yourself on cello?
No.
Somebody who took cello when I was in elementary school. I understand the problem.
It doesn't quite.
It's not the most melodic.
Which, Blanca, you said it very loud and clear. Tejano never went away.
Right.
It's always been here. But why do you feel like, with Bad Bunny has done some collaborations, there's kind of this new vibe, right? The band from South Texas, Edinburgh, Frontera. Bad Bunny did a collaboration with Frontera, and they brought that. I think Justin Bieber's done some collaborations, and Tejano Music specifically.
Right.
What is it right now that Tejano's making the movement back to?
I think it's what the biggest thing that we were talking about just last night, actually, it's about uniting. You know, with music, for me, it saved me as a teenager. Music, like, really, you know, resonated with me because, you know, going through struggles in life as we all do, right? And different things. So music saved me. But the importance of bringing the younger artists and showcasing them, like I had an interview with Ramirera last night, and he specifically spoke on that and saying it's up to us who have paved the way to continue to elevate them. And continue to show them to work together, to unite. And you just said it right now, like collaborating. You know, I know that you collaborated with Ram with that beautiful song. So it's also about continuously working together because we can't do everything alone.
So, Blanca, what's your role in this?
So I'm president of the Champions Club Agency. So we're helping curate the red carpet experience. And we wanted to make sure our artists felt super special. Being here in Houston for the first time, we're going to showcase, you know, different photographers, different media is going to be present on the red carpet. And then we're going to have some extra little kind of podcast interviewers or other interviews happening behind the red carpet. And then on the right side, we're going to have a whole fan fest. So anybody who gets there early, 50 people, going to get swag bags. But of course, everybody is invited. It's free. But you have to have a ticket to get inside. So they're still selling general admission tickets, but it's a standing room only.
We did get a couple questions. How do I get tickets? Yes. If somebody wants to get tickets, where should they go to?
TejanoMusicAwards.com.
Okay.
And then, so there should be a link somewhere in there. I can't tell you specifically, but yes, they are still tickets available. And as far as I know, I purchased one last night. So
okay,
yes,
good.
You know that.
We did
and
also
you even had to purchase a ticket?
I did, because I wanted to make sure a specific friend of mine made it in.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yes.
And we also got another YouTube comment. Earl Grey T-Cat says, my father loved Ram Herrera. Tejano was always in the car and house when I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yes.
He's one of the greats. I feel so fortunate. I got a chance to record. I wrote a song, and I had worked with him in other events. We were both guest artists on a Christian Tejano album a few years ago. And we were in the studio at Freddie Records in Corpus. And years later, when I saw him there, I said, maybe one day we can do something. And I reached out to him a couple of years later with the song that I wrote. And he graciously accepted, and he contributed his talent to the song. Then he went down to the valley where I live, and we recorded a very nice music video. And it was, we were there recording it, and I was just enjoying the moment because he's one of the greats. People that know Tejano, so many hits that he's got. And when he performs, the people, like the gentleman that just made a comment, it takes him back to, 20, 30 years of hits.
Right. And, I feel like we can't talk about Tejano without talking about the queen, Selena. And, I know there was a Netflix documentary that just came out. Will you guys be doing anything to celebrate her legacy at the awards ceremony?
Not specifically. We really didn't want to take away from the Netflix documentary, but also take away from the artists who are showing up. So we have some young ladies, Las Divas, young, they're twins, and they're performing, well, not performing, but they're there with their dad, the brother, I think the uncle. It's like a whole family. And they're just so adorable. And they performed a cappella with some of the live interviews that were happening there. So it's about showcasing the new talent. But yes, definitely, we cannot speak about Tejano music and not speak of La Reina. Selena, so anything for Selena's, right? But, it's, she definitely paved the way for women because, in the industry, it was really male dominant. And it's still, to be honest, it is still to this day. But we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about celebrating who are there, the women who are being honored and being nominated and being and also performing. We have Veronica La Consentida. She's going to be performing live on the red carpet.
Beautiful.
With a couple of dancers. And then the mayor actually issued a proclamation for the TTMA, the Tejano Music Awards Day for today.
Yeah, we're going to celebrate that.
We know, Katie, where is the venue?
It's Texas Saloon.
Texas
Rodeo Saloon. It's off of Mason Road. Off of I-10 and Mason Road, you make a left, and it's to the left. It's very easy to get to. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
This is very exciting. And one more time where people can find tickets just in case they want to go.
Yes, TejanoMusicAwards.com. So www.TejanoMusicAwards.com.
Well, this is very exciting. Blanca Beltran-Robinson of Champions Club Agency and Yeisi singer-songwriter nominee for Tejano Music Awards. Yeisi, good luck tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not nominated tonight. Tonight I'm presenting an award.
Yes.
Well, good luck presenting.
I was nominated last year
Last
and
year.
a couple of years before. Maybe I have some new music coming out, so maybe next year.
Next
you
year.
go.
We're going to keep an eye on it.
It's always an honor.
We're going to
just
plant
to
a seed.
present.
Absolutely.
Yes. We want to thank you both for being with us.
Thank you so much for
today.
having us.
And it looks like we were having so much time. We've run out of time.
So much fun.
So much fun. We want to thank you for watching and listening today on Hello Houston. We will be back on Monday with more conversations. We're going to be speaking with Houston City Council member Tarsha Jackson about the illegal dumping in 5th Ward. But in the meantime, you can catch and watch the best of Hello Houston Saturdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. here on News 88.7. Have a great and safe weekend, Houston. We'll see you
Get
Monday.
those turkeys in the fridge if they're frozen.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.